Welcome back. I got another one for you, another 666 seconds of murder. And you guys know what that's about. That means this video is less than 666 seconds or 11 minutes and 6 seconds. I'll try my best, but I got a lot of information for you. But I'm going to keep it nice and neat, but I'm going to be moving through it at a quick pace, so stay with me. And today I'll be wearing a Benediction shirt, some UK death metal. Love these guys, old school all the way. I got a new album that just came out, just amazing. These guys are great. But I did a video about the DoorDasher yesterday, but in this one I think that it's important to go over some stuff that maybe I didn't get to go over in the video yesterday, and also did some more digging on the topic and have some more to add to it. So I'd like to go there with this and see where we end up at the end of the discussion. But I'm going to refine what I said yesterday a bit and, give you some more ideas on the topic. I'm still struggling with my eyes, so I'm sorry. And also, it's real bright in here today, which is making it that much worse. But I did have somebody in the comments, and normally I don't even address, some idiot like this, but I had somebody in the comments that was saying that me and A.R. Hayes also were making up our medical conditions, and that, all those things couldn't possibly happen to, one person, and that we were grifters and all this kind of nonsense. Well, first of all, I am not making up anything. I'm sitting in a wheelchair right now, and just to prove a point, I'm going to make sure that, that this person knows that, yeah, there are people that are actually injured and have multiple things going on. But I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I have my leg amputated there. That's not a camera trick. That's real. So, but do me a favor before you forget, hit like on this video. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider doing that before you leave today. It definitely helps get the video out there to more people. So I appreciate those of you that do that for me. And comments help as well. So leave one behind. Now, it's very important to remember that no one has been found guilty in this case. We're just giving opinions and speculation here. And if anybody has any, question about that, it's just everything is alleged. Okay. Now, I'm sure most of you following the case of the Idaho 4 have wondered about the DoorDasher. There has been a bit of confusion with the latest court docs regarding who is the person that delivered that order at 4 a.m. and left it near the back sliding door. Now, many of you in the comments informed me that the doc in question said that it said, quote, MM, and then in parentheses it said DoorDash, and then it had the initials EG. So someone else said that the MM had something to do with like the parent company of DoorDasher or something like that. I am not sure. I tried to find something. I Googled it, followed quite a few leads. I couldn't find anything other than the names of the CEO. But I know you guys are probably better at investigating than I am. And if it's on a white background, I couldn't read it. So I wasn't able to see a lot of stuff. But if you have anything to add to that, please drop it in the comments. I'd much rather be informed correctly than to be going off of assumptions. Okay. But yeah, my eyes are at best like 25% of what they need to be. So it's difficult. Now, I did run a post on the community tab to see what you guys thought about the DoorDasher, and you guys voted 40%, so the majority, on Matt Moy, the guy that lived behind 1122 King Road. And, he was a little creepy to some people. Lots of people were, wondered about him in the early days of it. I do as well when I look back on it. I'm surprised he didn't get a harder look, to be completely honest. Now, the voting followed with 24% thinking it was Madison Mogan, his sister, or not Mogan, Moy, I'm sorry, Madison Moy, which was Matt's sister. And so that certainly, made sense because we heard it was a woman. And then 18% were with Emma Bailey, same thing. And then 17% selected other. And then I asked them in the comments to tell me who the other was, and a majority of those were Eric Gower. So the private driver, also known as. So pretty interesting spread there. And I appreciate you guys that took the time to do that. Personally, I thought Eric Gower, due to his sketchiness in this story, just seems to me to have something else. Something's missing with that guy. I, will mention a commenter yesterday that said that Gower was being paid by as a private driver through an organization tied to the sororities to prevent drunk driving. So if that's true, that's good, and that's less suspicious, but still, the guy must have been making pretty good money as an administrator at the university, and to be doing that on weekends with girls out drinking, it just doesn't look good. He's got a wife at home, newborn baby. Probably be better off just being at home with his wife, but whatever. It makes him less of an issue with that end of it. But still, that being said, I do believe the DoorDasher could have been Eric Gower and Gower. If you read the court doc, like so many of you mentioned, there are so many questions though with Gower. Now, first, there's the rumor that he's took a week off of work after the crimes. And he had this administrator job again at the University of Idaho. And if that's true, why did he need a week off of work? He made it sound like he barely knew these girls. When Steve G came out and said he was a friend of the family. So very mixed messages there. If he was a friend of the family, then he would have known who Kaylee was, and probably Maddie too, since she was always with her. So, it's tending to be some, bad vibes with him. And you wonder, was he, taking a week off of work to, clean up a black eye or some cuts on his hands? I mean, who knows, right? Allegedly, of course. Now, the black jacket that Maddie wore that night was way too big for her. And some said it was Jack DeCour's. But there's that video the day following or days following the crimes that shows the police and some volunteers combing the area for any clues. The two cops that pick up the black jacket sure look like the one Maddie had on, take something from the pocket and then toss the jacket back to the ground, which doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, if it was worth taking something out of the pocket, then why didn't they take the jacket as well? I mean, there surely would have been some sort of evidence on it, DNA or whatever. Very highly suspicious. Now, Eric Gower claimed that he dropped Kaylee and Maddie off at 1122 King Road at 1:56 a.m. The black jacket was a block away off Taylor Avenue near the fire hydrant. We've seen that fire hydrant before in the Banfield video with the cops on their cams. So, it's a common place. That's where a lot of people get rides, on the corner of Taylor and King there. Because if you go turn into King, there's really no way out. There's all, dead ends in there. So it's probably difficult to get out of there, especially with a bigger vehicle. So would have made sense that vehicles would drop people off there. So just a block away from the house. But, it's, you wonder how did the code end up? If it is Maddie's, how did it end up there? If you look at that shot, there's some dark areas along that walkway. So it's very possible there could have been people there waiting for her. We don't know. Maybe she was attacked there, and that's how the jacket ended up on the ground. Now, did Eric Gower drop them off, on the corner, or was it at the house? Because he said it was at the house. So if it was at the corner, then why would he lie about it? And I suspect that if he did, there could be some, connection with him and some people that were waiting on her, maybe. He knew that it was going to happen, type of thing. But, we just don't know. But my question for this video is with the DoorDasher, and what do they have to do with this story? I mean, why have it delivered so close to the crime, the time of the crime? I mean, why ask for another witness? That's why I think the DoorDasher was part of the crime. I really do. Maybe to clean up, or maybe, something like that. Or maybe they were there, for something more brutal. I mean, who knows? Now, why do we know that, Dylan had called or texted Eric Gower at 2:10 a.m., and that's 15 minutes from when he would have dropped Kaylee and Maddie off. So Dylan was asking him if he was still out driving. So that's why I wonder if Dylan was even at home. She was calling him because she needed a ride home, or she was at home and wanted to ride somewhere else. I mean, who knows? But the fact that she's calling him or texting him maybe, leads me to believe that she needed a ride to one or the other, or both. Maybe she needed a ride to more than one place. Who knows? And that would make sense. If she's calling a private driver, at 2:10 in the morning, chances are it's for something like that. If so, where would they have gone? Maybe to this hotel room that we've been hearing about, where they claim Bethany was. A last minute meeting, maybe, about what was going to happen, that type of thing. Who knows? Maybe Gower went to Taco Bell first himself, since he did have that receipt that said he was there around the time the cops were asking, to wait for the sign to come back, and use his DoorDash as a cover story and bring some food with him. The text from Dylan was meant to, ask him about a ride, but I wonder if it was something, like a code. If I text you about a ride, that means, do this or do that type of thing. So who knows, right? Now, you got to remember, Eric Gower had some really creepy pictures on his Facebook and comments about these college girls, and talking about how easy it is to stalk them on Facebook, and really, really creepy stuff for a guy that works for the university. And then there was his Pinterest page filled with tons of weapons. And I can only imagine if Brian Koberger had a Pinterest page like this is all we would be hearing about. This guy has pictures of swords and spears and all sorts of really like barbaric weaponry. And he's got this thing called a batchety, which is, a baseball bat with big machete blades sticking out of it. I mean, like really, really sick stuff. So what the hell would he be doing, fantasizing about all of that? I mean, I just don't know. But is that, what made those, nasty tearing wounds that were described in some of the victims? The batchety, really? Eric, come on, dude. Now, the final part of Eric Gower's that bothers me is the lie to Moscow Police Department, or the tie, I should say, to Moscow Police Department. His wife worked as an administrator in the FOIA department. How convenient is that? Eric also dressed up more than once as Santa for their annual Christmas party. He was all buddy-buddy with the cops, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But it just makes you wonder, in a case like this, where some people have thought maybe the cops had some kind of involvement in it. And if so, could Gower have been part of that? Now, it took him 9 days to go to the police to tell them he was the private driver that they had been looking for. So, was this because of the wounds that he may have had that he was hiding from? We don't know. He also was, turning in his license plate numbers for, white Elantras that he saw. He was giving them to the police. So he was all trying to be Mr. Cop here. He also gave an interview with the local press after the capture of Brian Kohberger, claiming that he lived 1,200 feet, was very specific, from Brian Kohberger, and said his wife was just so creeped out by him and was so glad he was behind bars. And odd, though, that the Gowers live in Moscow and not in Pullman, Washington. So I don't know how he's living 1,200 feet from Brian. Very strange. Very strange. Now, some of the Jack in the Box employees said that the driver was female. But my question is if Dylan was out with Gower driving around, then what if she was the one that went in? He's driving, she jumps in to grab the food, and they go. So the employees see a female doing that. And, if anybody's ever used DoorDash or Uber Eats or anything like that, it's not uncommon to have a picture of somebody that's coming to bring your food, and then that person's not the one that comes to the door. A lot of husbands and wives, boyfriends, girlfriends work that way for safety reasons. So I get it, but, that could have been how that happened, and Gower was actually the DoorDasher. Now, if Gower was doing work, for this organization sponsored by the sororities, then why was he communicating with Dylan? I mean, she wasn't in a sorority. So what, was it for narcotics possibly, or sex? I mean, either one of those would be a great way to blackmail somebody if you didn't want to, wanted him to do something for you. And he sure as hell wasn't going to want somebody going to his wife telling him about what he'd been doing, allegedly. All right. At late nights with the girls in the cars, who knows? The type of blackmail to keep quiet for a long time about a plan to carry out to create such a heinous crime. Whatever it was, having some sort of tie to Dylan seems to be a tainted path somehow. But fair or not, she definitely just comes across with some bad vibes to me. Another thing to think about when it comes to Eric Gower is his ties to the police. And if they had any involvement, he could also be potentially involved through them using the DoorDasher as a gig, as an alibi. So, all of this is speculation, but you have to wonder. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this one. You guys always have some great comments for me, so leave them down below. If you like and interact with the other commenters, it helps the channel grow, the video really get out there to more people. So do that if you can. Respond to some of them, let them know what you think. Don't miss my live I'm going to be doing with Lucky on Thursday, April 24th. It's going to be a good one. And that's at 7 p.m. Central. We'll be talking some Idaho 4, of course. So come on and join us. It's going to be good. Thursday, April 24th at 7 p.m. Big thanks to all the members in that Horn Tie Club. I appreciate you guys for your support. But I also appreciate everybody who comes here and watches these videos. We thank you very much here at Murder Metal Mayhem. And there's a link in the description below if you want to join the membership. It's only $1.99 a month, but it helps the channel out. We do a weekly live with the members and that sort of thing. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't, and drop a comment below, and I'll see you next time.